Varre is now joining us here to show us his build. He is the first person to greet us in the game. He has been a very polite gentleman throughout the game. He's never done anything wrong except maybe killing your maiden, and aren't those the eyes of an angel? They are. Anyways, let's start with the status we have here for attributes. Mostly, I have vigor. And this character, he's a close quarters character, does not have any strength to pack more physical defense. So yes, I do need those 1900 HP. And then of course the arcane at 81. I have the strength, dexterity, and faith at the levels that they are because they're the minimum requirements to use either the incantations or the weapons that I'm using. Then the mind and the endurance, they're really there, just that was not really well thought. It's just like it doesn't really make a lot of difference. You just need more than 25 mind and more than 25 endurance. The rest of the points are there just kind of randomly, honestly. You can see the discovery at 181. That's very good. That's one of the perks of playing Arcane. You find more stuff more frequently, loot-wise, right? And yeah, those are the statuses right now that we're playing with. Let's go ahead and see the equipment. Weapons. We have the Ripple Crescent Halberd. Now I'm gonna explain something once. Whenever something scales with Arcane, it not only gains damage, any passive effect also gets boosted. So basically this build lets me do this in two different ways. The first one is with this weapon. Whenever I'm using greases, greases will get a potency bonus based on Arcane. In this case I have 80 Arcane, Arcane S scaling, so you know what happens. I can proc sleep probably 2-3 hits on pretty much every player, and a lot of the creatures in the game. Some of them won't be falling asleep, the same as a player, they'll just be stunned. I was about to say stoned. They'll be stunned for at least a couple of seconds, so it can buy you some time, right? I have the sleep bots, which I am almost out of, but they will get you out of sticky situations very frequently with this build. I'll show you how it works, and it will put to sleep enemy players in a single grenade. Especially good whenever you're like, say in PvP and your opponent is trying to heal. Just go ahead and throw him a sleep pod, and that will do the trick. Honestly, it'll get you a free hit. Now, very important, the Dragon Communion Seal works the same way as with the weapons. It scales the passive effect. So what happens is this: if you're using a Faith Seal, like for example, well, I don't know, this one, a Faith Seal scales as with Faith, and you have 80 Faith, and you go ahead and you do this incantation, right? The Flame of Frenzy. What will happen is you'll do a lot of damage. Why? Because you're scaling to the fire damage of the incantation, just the fire damage. Whenever you do it with Dragon Communion Seal, you have a little of scaling with Faith. You can see there that it says Faith B, but a lot of Arcane. And Arcane, what did we say? It also boosts the passive effects. So you're doing a lot more madness whenever you do this, like a lot. Like you can proc madness on an enemy player pretty much with one attack of this if you hit like 3 or 4 of those little lasers, right? So very important, this build. Then it has a couple of cross naginatas, which I know they're strong, but what can I say? I've been playing spears ever since I saw Ornstein, so it is what it is. Ashes of War are blood tax. In my personal opinion, one of the best ones. It lets you proc bleeding almost immediately. It heals you, it looks cool, and it is Varre's original Ash of War. Poisonous Mist does a little fart in front of you that poisons enemies, but if you connect with the blade while you're doing it, you also proc poison in a single attack. Plus, it buffs your weapon, so now you're doing 100 bleeding and 100 plus poison. Yeah, you're welcome. So there's other weapons that you can use with this build. You know, if you don't like spears, you like halberds, you can use the Vulgar Militia Saw. Here to show you the difference in bleed, the passive effects down there, it says bleed 55, and now you see the Vulgar and it's 116. Damn, my friends are already sending me invites, so I'll have to make this quick. Other weapons, if you like using katanas, I personally recommend the Nagakibas. They have good range, good damage. You can see the boosts to bleeding that you have from 45 to 85 with the Occult Nagakiba. Yes, I do have a couple of level 10 Rivers of Blood, so what? So with these weapons, you can do a lot. With this set of 4 things, you can heal, do bleeding, one hit do poison, do any other effect that you can put on a halberd, use the passive effects of your spells. This will boost your damage whenever you proc bleed, which you will a lot. This also does the same thing. Then this talisman is here. I mean, this talisman can be whatever, really. The only things that I need necessarily in this build is the Green Turtle Talisman, because the Cross Naginatas were nerfed. And now they spend a lot of stamina, so I find myself gasping for breath pretty frequently, so this helps with that. And finally, Shard of Alexander will boost the attack power of your Ashes of War, 15% if I'm not mistaken, so that's a pretty good all-arounder. For items, Poison Bone Dart, it's a dart, does poison, what else you want? Sulphuric Grease, it lets me put to sleep enemies. Rot Grease, it's mostly for bosses, the Rot Grease and the Rot Pod is mostly for bosses. And finally the Sleep Pod, great grenade, it will help you in a lot of situations, like when you are fighting an opponent, he tries to heal with like a spell, boom, now you're falling asleep. And sometimes you aggro several enemies at the same time, you don't want to deal with them at the same time, Sleep Pod. And yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and see how this runs, show you the spells real quick. I have Flame of Frenzy, like mostly useful in PvP or to, you know, hit big characters that will eat all of those flames. It does madness very quickly with this build. Yeah, I have Barrier of Gold because mages are very powerful, and with this they're not. As a tip, if you're a mage, you might want to carry around a Law of Regression, you know. You just go ahead, you equip this. It has no requirements for intelligence or faith or nothing. You just equip this and walk around with Law of Regression. It will heal you of any effect and it will remove any buff. Anyways. So yeah, so I'm carrying Barrier of Gold in case a mage appears. I have Blessing Spoon, which I mostly use it in PvE. In PvP, I do use like Great Heal or something like that. Swarm of Flies procs bleed, has great homing, breaks poise pretty strongly, and Lightning Spear because of speed and damage, and Exike's Decay. This is mostly to proc rot on bosses again. So as you can see, like it's very simple when you go ahead and you play with this build. You go ahead, you proc sleep, then you proc poison, then you start procking for bleed, and that's basically what you do most of the time. It's very fun build. It's not like other builds, right, where you just go ahead and aim for maximum damage all the time. This is more like having fun, killing with strategy. You know, this goes first, this goes then. You can also add to your repertoire if you like. This is from another build. You can always add other items, you know, like you can use the freezing pots are very good on any build. They don't scale with anything, so it's good. It's a good all-arounder, you know. These ones, the volcano pot, do a lot of poison damage even if you're not using like a strength build. You can use fetid pots, but honestly, since you can proc poison with a single attack, anything else is kind of like pointless. In this case, like I can proc bleed and poison from afar, you know, pretty easily with the darts. And that's pretty much all it took, you know, the guy's already poisoned and he has already bled once. Yeah, that's nice. Oh! You can see the poise damage on that. Got kicked in the face. Oh, here comes the other one. So yeah, the build has been very fun. I think it's very consistent. It has good weapons. You see, like for example, right now I'm in deep. Ooh, yes, I'm in deep. I didn't want the other one, darn me. This guy is mad, bro. He did not like that poison stuff. He had a lot of HP. Anyways, that's why I picked them to try my effects, you know. We can also proc sleep here with my halberd, and it will give me like free critical hit. Probably one more. I missed my opportunity there. You have a very little window with the characters that do not entirely fall asleep. You have a very little window to like act. So it's good that I ate that so that you can see it. Oh. Did you see that? This guy really attacked me while he was asleep, bro. How violent can you be? But you don't see that every day. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. If you stay after this video, I'm gonna be playing some PvP with this same build. It's very fun. You can do a lot of effects, and if you play your cards right, you can pretty much overpower all of the characters in the game. Whenever you find yourself with an enemy or something like that that it has immunity to all these passive effects, you can always just go ahead and run with like this halberd, the ripple halberd, and you can just put some fire on it or something like that, and it will work pretty decently. Okay, this guy's about to kill me because I've been super distracted. Let me drink the Coca-Cola here. And there you have it. It's a pretty effective build, and trust me, it also works very well in PvP. The poison Naginata pretty much procs poison the same as it does with this fat guy, so you know the build is good. So thanks for watching, and if you go ahead and catch me PvP, GG, bro. GG.